All right, everyone, my ass is still being kicked by this cold, so, my voice is still a little hoarse. In fact, it's a little worse than yesterday. So I'll probably be, like, hacking and coughing during this, but I totally wouldn't drink beer in the morning because it helps with my throat. I totally would never do that. Yeah, right. It turns out there's a new deplatforming sort of raid going on at the moment, and I almost feel like a wizard because it's paired with attacks on an archival site, archive.is, which has various other sort of, what do you call it, addresses that it works with. One's in like Vietnam or something. It's actually interesting. I don't know exactly why or how they do that. I'm assuming they just have a lot of servers around the world so that there's no interruption in their service. Probably a good idea. But we've got that going on. That's probably spurred on by the legacy media. And then we've got Elegy Records, along with a couple of other labels, heavy metal labels, that right now they've been cut by MasterCard and PayPal. I'm thinking to myself, this is just, if it was 99% like the Satanic Panic before, it's 100% right now. The same fucking shit happened literally in the 1980s, and black metal, especially, insofar as it's existing on these records, has been maligned and censored and held up on a pedestal of everything wrong for 3 fucking decades. You'll remember the last time we had a moral panic. We're talking about late Satanic, late 80s, into the 90s, totally the mid-Clinton era, actually. When we're talking about that era, what did they try to do at the time? What were some of the people that were beat up on, that were told, you're unacceptable, you're not allowed to speak freely, and we're going to go after your money, and that's how they did it. Metal music. Yeah, oh my god, it's causing people to worship the devil and stupid shit like that. Now it's like, it's causing people to worship white nationalism or something. You have a band that's like nationalistic on your your label, so you're not allowed to use PayPal anymore. This is hysterical, and there are actually people out there that are mind-numbed enough that they'll side with a multi-billion-dollar corporation over some band that has like 50 fucking fans. It happens to be, and not to degrade them, but, these are niche genres. Black metal's not mainstream. It's even less mainstream now, I guess. And so, let me get this straight, because there are other, labels that do black metal. It's okay if you talk about, like, wanting to take Christ off the cross so you can, put him in a vat of pig's blood or something. And it's okay to talk about, like, how you want to walk in and hit the priest in the head with a club. That's okay. And all the other weird stuff that you get in black metal. By the way, I have no problem with it. I find it hilarious. I love black metal. But if you have any nationalistic element within any of the bands on your label, PayPal chooses not to do business with you. And the reason is that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. What you have are a bunch of moral busybodies, the sort of people who sat on the street corner and gossiped about who was drinking alcohol during the Prohibition era. Fucking gossiping about which kid was the Satanist, back in the 80s, which person is the commie. The moral busybodies, the snitches, the rats, the lowest of the low, the scumbags of society, go around from company to company to try to cause the problems. They're doing this because they're moralistic in some cases. Some of them actually believe in the justice of what they're doing. They're the most dangerous ones because you can't convince them otherwise. They're self-righteous idiots, basically. And then there are those that are corrupt, the deplatform lovers, certainly anyone within the legacy media. They don't want archival sites to function. They don't want alternative music. They want to be able to talk about the pop top 40 and the other vapid shit that they prefer to talk about because they get kickbacks from some band that has 1 million fans. They're not getting that from some small black metal label. And so Elegy shuts down. And this looks a lot like the early 2010s all over again. Remember when a bunch of black metal and heavy metal and grindcore and all that was wiped off the internet before, like 10 years ago, almost? Remember when they started going after the file hosting services? FBI, I think, what was it, Mega Upload or something at the time? It wiped up the depressive black metal blog, the suicidal depressive black metal blog. I followed both of them. They were both gone. They became defunct. No Longer Forgotten Music blog went defunct later with continued harassment of these services. And it was an attempt to deplatform. People are talking about Operation Choke Point or whatever. Oh, you don't need any operation like that. Technically speaking, this is spawned by for-profit competitive entities. It is kind of a form of capitalism. It's just the the natural cancerous outgrowth of success that has to be constrained in order to keep the system going. Unfortunately, what we have is Silicon Valley and these payment processors basically lord themselves and their power over Congress, so nothing ever gets done to stop them from depersoning people. I find it very funny. It's like Jared Holt the other day put out a post about some group that's like an offshoot of the Proud Boys or some shit like that. There was like 6, maybe 10 dudes standing around in front of the White House. They're holding a rally, quote unquote, having a picnic or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, for 2 years, people like Holt have said that groups like this are a grave danger to democracy, they're a danger to civilization, they're steadily radicalizing large numbers of youth. And yet here you have a very small group of people being mocked by people like Holt for being ineffective and cringy. So which is it? Is it not a threat and it's something to laugh at? Or is it a grave threat that demonstrably connotates that you should have corporations deplatform people? I'm still waiting to get a clear answer from these people. They're never going to give it. This is a moral panic. When you start seeing musical labels shot down by PayPal of all places, that is part of a fucking moral panic. And it's prefaced on bullshit. The idea that NSBM has caused people to become radicalized. No, who do you think is listening to those bands in the first place? It's people who probably already have some of those views. Or people like me, I can choose to listen to that. It doesn't make me a national socialist. I expunge socialism in all of its forms anyway. In listening to it, it's like, hey, it's metal. I don't care that the message is secondary. If I want a funny message that I can sync with, I'll listen to Gore Grind or something. How long before they go after that? They're going after comedy. 2 years ago I said once they start going after music and comedians, that's the death knell of the moral panic. It gets bigger and more vicious, but it stretches too far. It always happens. It's happened every single other time. And it eventually collapses because it becomes a self-defeating farce. It's ready to become a farce right now, but we need more mockery of it. There are still people who are afraid of these losers for some reason, and they shut up and refuse to criticize censorship. Oh my god, I can't speak out too much, I might get deplatformed too. Fuck you, who cares if you get deplatformed? If the internet stops being a vibrant place where people can put their opinions and make money creating content or whatever, it doesn't matter. What do you have to lose? It means absolutely fucking nothing. These companies are only enabled to do so because people are tolerating it and saying nothing while a very small group of very bored, piss-soaked people decides to go and try to get others deplatformed. Sometimes for malevolent reasons, sometimes because they're simply ignorant. So when I see black metal is once again being beaten up on, or heavy metal in general, it's like, it reminds me of the past. Kind of reminds me of when people wanted to deplatform the Beatles now, didn't it? Oh my god, they're spreading degeneracy. They're giving our children bad ideas. They're going to radicalize them. Our children might smoke weed. They might have premarital sex or something. We can't tolerate this. Lenin said stuff about Jesus. Oh my god, burn their fucking records. Because otherwise it's going to destroy civilization. It's going to become a huge problem. McCarthyism, the satanic panic. We got to stop Iron Maiden. Ozzy Osbourne, my old nemesis. We must stop these people. It's the same shit. There is no threat to society. The threat to society is the censorship. But these people are too ignorant to realize that. That's about all. Peace out.